Hey everybody, it is Jennifer Robinson-Romkey here, and I am with Cindy MacInnis, and we are excited to actually start bringing some videos to you guys. Our plan right now is to do about once a week, but we will see how this kind of evolves. We kind of like the idea of go with the flow, and as time goes on, we'll have more of an idea of how this will sort of show up within the group. But we are so excited. Hey, Cindy.
I never lack any information or opinions either. So
Exactly. Exactly. So wanted to start out. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to apologize if you hear any barking in the background or anything like that. We are, live kind of thing in our homes, and life still happens without us. I suspect my husband will have our dogs barking at some point at like now. Anyway, wanted to sort of, open this up by giving you guys an idea of how this all began and what is sort of bringing the two of us here with you guys and moving forward what we're going to be kind of offering. So first and foremost, I was part of an accountability group for one of my online businesses that I have. And gosh, I can't even remember when it started. It's been years now. Like I can't even remember. I suspect it was either around COVID or actually pre-COVID. Years, like my gosh, right? Time flies. And with COVID, I feel like since COVID, for a few years, I almost don't have a lot of things to mark things to, for timelining it to actually remember exactly how long ago something was. But it's been years. And I've been part of an accountability group, which sort of turned into a mastermind group and incredible friendships and mentoring together, which was fantastic. And during COVID, we were all becoming, right? Life was quiet. We're all on our own
hermits,
properties, right?
not
Exactly.
productive hermits. Yes.
Right. We had a circle of Adirondack chairs in our front lawn, so we could all socially distance. But my gosh, right? I mean, you want to stay connected with friends and that kind of stuff. So Cindy and I, as we were good friends and we were getting together on a fairly regular basis, either her, I, or us and our partners, husbands, and that kind of thing. And we were like, well, why don't we take some of our time, right? Get together and do a bit of an accountability group to start, which has morphed into some other things now.
And I think too, Jennifer, it started with my retirement because I was like, okay, what now? What am I going to do now?
True.
And
And we were doing this before your retirement too, weren't we? A little bit.
Yes. I think we basically started during the first 2020.
Okay, so we
or
really
it might have been 2019 because before that we were going out to the supper club at
right, Den of Friends.
Yes.
Oh gosh, I miss that.
So yeah, and that was when we all could go out and not wear a mask and sit at dinner and
right.
not
and enjoy ourselves, etc. Yeah, life,
So with me being, I say nudged into retirement because that's what it was.
Yeah. So it's more like pushed, but
not feeling productive. I think you were talking about that at one time, and you told me what you had been doing with your group, and I'm thinking, oh my God, that would be great.
Do this.
Let's do this. Yeah.
So we started doing it. We started getting together on Zoom through this platform kind of thing, and we were meeting. Gee, I don't know at the beginning if we were meeting was it 3 days a week or was it every 5 days a week?
At the beginning because of COVID, and we weren't able to
go
doing
anything. Yeah.
We were doing it every day, I think. Every day at 10. Every day at 10. Yeah.
Thank you, Atlantic.
Oh no, but it was welcomed at that time though, because that was just that was a hard you feel like you're antisocial, but you can't be social because you're kind of trapped.
Yeah. Life was quiet, and we were we were welcome. It was welcome to bring some life back into our lives kind of thing at that time.
But I think when you're I think how it is affecting other people the same. But when you're so busy and you're working and you're doing this and you're doing that and your life is on in high gear.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you can't do anything. I mean, it really takes you down.
Yeah.
In a good way for me. A good way for me.
Yeah.
Because it taught me what was important and what wasn't important.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people that was an impact of COVID overall. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, obviously, but I've heard a lot of people say that. To what degree, that's, you know, in the air for everybody, but certainly it was an opportunity where life got quiet and we had an opportunity to reflect on priorities and values and,
Yes.
you know, what really mattered.
And even connect with friends that maybe you've lost touch with.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because everybody's
can't
so
say you
busy.
didn't have time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's home
So
around the globe.
I found that one of the positive things. I really did.
Yeah.
My retirement.
That was positive. And yet you approach it as sort of like birthing a child or moving
I know.
into those new phases in our life can be quite, I don't know. It's a tumultuous time, right? Because there's so much uncertainty and, you know, that unsettled period of time until
Yes.
it takes a while to sort of settle into it. And you've definitely settled into it now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch that process too.
Yeah. Outside in. Yes.
Yeah.
I do feel that I'm glad I had other interests. Like
Yes.
self-development, I've always dabbled in.
Yes.
So this was a time that I could actually go within and figure out like some of the bigger questions.
Yes.
And my art, because I'm an artist and that's one of my passions. So I knew that I could fill my time.
Yeah.
But I'm also a procrastinator and needed the accountability.
Amen to that. Yes. Yeah, for sure. And it's funny. We're going to introduce ourselves here in a second so you guys can get to know us. For those of you who may not know us all that well or who we are now, because maybe you've known us in the past even or something, and just to get a sense of who we are now and what we're doing and that kind of stuff. So we'll do that. But I love that you said, Cindy, you know, it's like looking at bringing productivity kind of, you know, through accountability, soft accountability. This is like your journey.
Yes.
And I'll say that.
No
that
judgmental.
No. And I mean, it took time to practice that too. And I know in my other accountability group as well, that was part of the culture I really wanted to bring to it. No judgment. You might judge yourself, but nobody else is judging you. Yeah. And you don't need to explain yourself.
Like, oh my gosh, Jennifer, I'm so sorry I didn't do anything today. And you're like, whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute.
I know, right? Because I mean, from a job environment or even sometimes expectations from family or whatever, this is a different environment. And there's just, you know, we have to work our way through because we're so culturally used to and probably even individually used to judging ourselves or assuming somebody's thinking, oh, you're not being productive enough. Or no, this is at your pace, right? Like I truly believe that at the end of the day, that's how growth should be.
Yes.
Because it's sustainable and we might take one step forward and two steps back, and that's normal too, right? Because sometimes there's a lesson that needs to be learned again or solidified or remembered or, you know, whatever.
Or even just like you knew that.
Like, but I needed to remember it.
But, or you might even remember it, but the meaning has taken different shape.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh my
expanded.
God, a light bulb just went off. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a great thing too. Cindy and I were just talking about this beforehand of, you know, this is a little bit different too. Again, we're going to introduce ourselves. You guys get an idea of what we bring to the table, but you know, this wasn't just friends getting together in a sense, because Cindy has a background in counseling and I have, you know, business coaching background and things like that, but like almost 2 decades of deep diving into self-development and spirituality and all that good stuff, and which is really morphed into spirituality. So really it was almost like mentoring mentors, you know what I mean? So from a level of when we talk about personal development, we were bringing something to the table for each other, right? That we could be a mirror and we could do that without judgment, and to create that safe space that we could talk about the uncomfortable things and, you know, sort of bring that forward. Plus, in the beginning, it started out with us just doing activities, right? Like us actually going, basically putting ourselves on mute, but we're together and then working on activities we wanted to accomplish. And we did that, which was awesome.
It just reinforced with me that women can empower women, because that's what we were doing too.
We really were.
So,
and are, for that matter.
And we'll continue.
As we continue. Exactly. This has become like a thing now. Like, we're not giving up on this. We wanted to share what we've gained from this, because the benefits have been, it's rippled out into all aspects of our life, and into places, like into nooks and crannies of our life that I never would have even dreamed. Like recently, Cindy and I, as well as my two sisters, we went and took Reiki level 1 and Reiki level 2, which has been phenomenal. And then we just recently did an introduction to shamanic journeying, which was fantastic. Again, another, just another great experience.
I guess
tools.
Both of those tools, Reiki and the shamanic journeying, put meditation back in my life. Because I have been a meditator.
Yeah.
But of course I fall off the wagon.
Yeah.
And then I go on. It's the same as journaling. I journal all the time, and then I don't.
Yeah.
And it's beneficial. You just fall off. You have to be kind to yourself, jump back on. But this really
reinvigorated.
I think
that's how I feel.
Well, just as an example, I remember when I first meditated, going 5 minutes was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? I went 40 minutes today.
Yeah. I actually question, why don't I do this for like a whole day? Like I get in there now, and I could just stay there, which of course, sometimes I'll stay longer, and other times I don't. I just go with the flow.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I know you were saying to me when I had said, hey, let's do these things. And, you're kind of on the fence, because we can easily get all excited about, more.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to ask yourself, give yourself a little bit of time to say, is this more for me, or is it just more interesting? You know what I mean? Like, not just going after things for the sake of more things, but also speak to me personally.
Sorry, Jen.
No, go ahead.
Also, my big thing was, am I taking all these courses? Am I doing all these things with the tools so that I don't have to really dive into the stuff that is really bothering me? Because it's very easy to use them as distractions.
For sure.
And
even the good things can be distracting.
And knowing that moved me along a little bit, I think.
Absolutely. And I know when I'd said to you that for me personally, recently I'd kind of fallen off my meditation practice as well, and was looking to really bring that back along with other things, but really to fall back in love with meditation, with some potentially new tools in my toolbox for that same thing, but just a broader, expanded toolkit kind of thing for meditation. And it has done that in spades.
Yes.
It really has.
Jen, I don't think that we're saying like, you have to meditate, you have to journal.
No.
We're saying
you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything.
And you be you.
Yeah.
But we found through our journey that was, those two things are the top tools in my toolbox.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I want to say, but I don't want to get preachy, but what worked for me was don't let the, I can't meditate. Sit there for 2 minutes. Like, who cares? There's nobody judging.
No.
There's
only you, right?
Yeah.
Our ego will jump in, or our mind, kind of that monkey mind kind of climbs in and, says, oh, this isn't working. And, it's just defeating you. And I remember when I first started learning to meditate, all that happened to me too. That's normal. I think that's normal until you figure it out. And I had to take a program. I didn't even finish the program, but that wasn't what I needed to sign up for the program for. I signed up for the program, which was me investing in learning what I needed to learn, right? Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
And they provided information to me early on in the program that was like, now I get it. The magic started to happen. And then it's like, you go on your own flow from there. And it's been a game changer. That's for sure. Whether or not I meditate every day is irrelevant. That is not it. I mean, I'm at a part now where I could do moving meditation. I could literally be in the zone while I'm washing dishes. I can be in the zone doing anything. And I think we all have those moments, but it's honoring it as part of a practice that can make that meditation. Because people that are runners, or things like, you know, art, you can lose yourself in that. That can
Oh,
be your meditation. It doesn't have to look like, you know, it doesn't have
yes.
to be.
And that's one of the things that I had to get straight in my head. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's definition.
Yeah.
You have to work it so that it works for you. Like I can meditate. I love meditation, so I have no problem doing it. But if I'm working on a painting or something and I come down here like in the morning, sometimes I don't come up for air till like 3, 4 o'clock. And I have no idea what time it is. I have my water down here. I might have a snack down here. So I don't have to leave. The only thing that this happens more in the winter, mind you, because now my dog wants to come in and out and in and out and in and out. In the wintertime, she doesn't care. She just wants to be in a nice cozy room.
Right.
So yeah, so I had to get off this listening to other people tell me what I needed to do.
Right. And I will say thank you, Cindy, for bringing that, because that was something that I know we have worked on together. Because when we first started doing our chats, you had a pretty rigid plan of who you were listening to. You had a very rigid plan for your meditation routine. It was very rigid. And it took a while of us talking that it was like, it doesn't have to be that, because, you know, sometimes we can lose ourselves in beating ourselves up that it wasn't that today, or it wasn't like, and it has been just as wonderful to free yourself of that.
Oh, it is.
It's better to do it from a state of like, just, I don't know, go with the flow. Like it starts to honor yourself and honor everything, because the seasons change and where you're going to be changes, and nothing needs to be rigid, right? Change is inevitable.
And to think that, well, I had a stressful job, so I would get myself psyched for the job. So I had this regiment that I would follow. Like I'd get up early, I'd go through a regiment before I actually went to work. If there was something that I didn't do that was in my morning routine, then I told myself that my day was going to be shitty.
Right. And I mean,
that's just a story.
Like, oh my God, and a self-fulfilling prophecy at that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, totally setting yourself up for, okay, well, there it is. Right. Yeah. And then if the day goes off the rails, you're like, well, that was my fault. You know, I did that. Right. And beat yourself up some more. Yeah, no, that's.
But I feel that through my work, I was offering tools and everything to my clients.
Yeah.
I was reading things for my clients. I was taking courses for my clients.
Right.
But I wasn't putting them in practice for myself.
Yeah.
And I consider myself like a pretty good with self-development. But no, hop skip, like really a lot has happened to me in the last 2 years where I've only had myself to think about.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's been really helpful with us having our accountability / mastermind / just girly chats. You know, a lot of that has been reminding, right? Reminding. And I know, I'm sure I've been a pain in the ass sometimes of like, you know, saying it one more time. But sometimes you need to hear that, right? Sometimes you need to like help me just get back on the path. Sometimes one thing you say,
as I've told you before, I could come right through the screen and slap your little face.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
and that's okay. I can take it. I got broad shoulders. They're not all that broad, actually, but I'll take it anyway.
Sometimes you need somebody to throw those questions at you, though, so that you think.
Well, just challenge you sometimes. Like, is that true? Like we say stuff, but okay. Is that true? And when somebody's doing that from a place of love, care,
it's totally different. Yes.
No judgment. And you learn that over time. It takes a little bit of time because we're so used to everybody judging us, including ourselves, right? That it's really challenging to think, wait a minute, this person does not, I don't have any agenda. And I whether or not you get it today or down there, it doesn't matter. But like just those reminders are really powerful. They really are. Because we don't need to be rigid.
You do need to have an open mind too. And and I mean, because we've had arguments too, Jen, like where you've said something, I've gone off and thought about something and I don't agree with it. So I come back on and go, I don't know why you said this. It has nothing to do with. And then we have another conversation. I
Yeah.
love those conversations because I'm
sure.
thinking,
They lead to way more clarity, because sometimes, you know, anybody can say something. It's like, you know, I'm not perfect, and how maybe I bring something out verbally, how I say it may land good or bad. Like, and not a
yes,
good or bad
yes,
as in good or
not
bad, but just
intentional.
it lands
Yes,
better, or not maybe so great today. And it just depends on sometimes where you're at, or where, you know, where both parties are at. But if
yeah,
we take the time to think about it, and I'll say this was a huge part that I learned in business coaching, that I had to, when I was taking, let's say, constructive criticism or feedback or whatever, I had to assume the individual had my best interest at heart.
yes,
I had to have that, almost like an NLP, Cindy, when they talk about presuppositions. Like,
yes.
it's this, like, having that as a, whether or not I fully 100% believe it, I choose it as a belief. Like, you have to actively choose it as like your first lens you look through, like to filter what somebody says. So if I
And
know you have
isn't
your
that,
best, you know, my best intentions at heart, then I have to listen to what you say and look at it through that lens, rather than attack you and get caught up in what you said and get pissed off and resist. And,
and
you know,
that's a little bit of knowing
yeah,
when your ego's taking over.
for sure, for sure.
Because
Yeah.
that was another
And that's
one of
happened.
the things that we talked
Yeah.
about. That's another one of those things that you really have to be, well, once you're aware though.
Yeah.
And it's really
But
quite
then
nice.
it's remembering, because we can be aware, but we might not take action from that awareness, right? We
Yes.
stay in that awareness phase for a while before we take action on what we know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's scary, right? Doing something different, but that's the only way you ever get different outcomes. So you know what? Great segue. Cindy, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you, you know, your family, you know, your career background, that kind of stuff.
Okay. So you know my name. Okay. Not ready for this. Okay, so you know my name, Cindy MacInnis. I've been married for 43 years. I have two beautiful kids. I'm not going to tell you their ages. I have two beautiful granddaughters,
Do.
Who are a joy, really. They are a joy. And can be very challenging at times, which
As we can do, right?
I don't mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a dog.
Yeah.
I've worked 31 years with crisis work and family and children counseling. I have my Reiki courses. I have quite a few courses from when I worked, like anger management and stuff like that. The one thing that my new love is the Reiki thing.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the biggest part of me. Hello.
I'm
an artist.
Yeah. You are an artist.
I am an artist. Took me a long time to say that, but I am. I work mostly in watercolor, but I dabble in everything. I am very creative. I've, from decorating to making things out of wood. I just love to use my hands, and I'm a visual person.
Beautiful. Cindy makes things beautiful.
I'm a visual person, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. What else? I guess that's it for now.
Okay.
I think that's a good introduction.
It's like, well, and I think, it summarizes it briefly, but like when you think about crisis work with women and children, like that is intense, grueling.
Yes.
When it rains, it pours, right? It's all of it. It's, and that's like, to be in that industry for 31 years is phenomenal. But you're so right. It puts you in an environment where in crisis, when we look at, and I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but it's a pyramid thing. And at the bottom is like your basic needs, right? You got shelter, you got food, your basic needs are met. And this is when these individuals that you worked with, those basic needs weren't met, right? Not necessarily. And that was in question at that time in a very stressful environment. people are not as receptive and open in that time. I mean, you're not as open to ideas, of course, as they
Right.
stay there. You
Right.
get to work with them. But it's really interesting because you would be almost fight or flight, working from fight or flight a lot of the time.
All the time.
Yeah. So
All
it's really interesting that when I think about your development for what I've seen in the last couple of years, I could tell that in that industry, we get so hyper focused on others, which is awesome because it speaks highly of you as a healer and caring about other people. But we do, and I know myself, same thing with business coaching. We're helping other people so much, we often forget
Well, yeah.
about ourselves. And it's also an incredible distraction, but it's our career, so we say that's okay.
Yes.
Right? But
So
what we did is we brought it back to us, which is great.
so I am retired, and I've been retired since
Yes.
I think it's 2 years.
December.
And that's where the really going inward happened for me, because there's no more, I don't have to look after anybody else. I don't have to be any place. I don't have to do anything.
Exactly.
So it was a very freeing. I found it very freeing, but I'm just now, and Jennifer, we've talked about this. I'm just now, like since January, I think it is, being comfortable in my own skin, being retired.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful. Like if I'm walking, it's like, oh my God, like I didn't even need to come out at this time. I could have just stayed home. I could go for a walk.
Yeah.
I know that that's just little things, but
the little things are the big things though, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
well, it's really interesting
me.
too, just thinking about you in the beginning, how I think, and that's why I remember that we started these Zooms prior to your retirement, was because in the beginning, part of the work was we were working on helping, and not even maybe even knowing it, but it was what happened. You had to calm your nervous system down.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Before you could even think about what was going on in your mind, because work had your nervous system so keyed up, like, you know what I mean? It was such a fight or flight sort of environment at work, and you come home and sleep deprived, and you sort of stay in that state. After a while, you're hyper reactive, right? For a while before that sort of starts to calm itself. And then you can start working on the other things.
Yes, it's still there. It's still, I dropped off a bag of clothes to the house yesterday, the day before, and I was talking to one of my coworkers, and the whole time I'm standing there, I am aware of, because my tuition is really strong now, and because like the awareness is there, like it was like, I just want to get out of here. I just want to get out of here. So I made myself stay, because that's part of it, and just like be.
Yeah.
And then it'll get better as time goes on, or it won't, and I'll have somebody else drop things off.
Well, and I think that it's repeated exposures. You need repeated exposures that are positive, right? Because you have a history of remembering where it was stressful. You don't have any history of being there and it not being stressful.
Yeah.
So, you have to have those exposures to sort of develop a new history for yourself, right? Where the place feels safe, because you're going in, dropping off bags and leaving.
And I do believe when I first left, I was still in victim mode too. And I needed to come to terms with that, because that's not something that'll serve you.
No.
So, yeah.
But it's part of the journey.
Part of the journey.
Yeah.
That's me in a nutshell. And
I'll share a little bit about me. Okay. So yeah, you guys know my name, Jennifer Robinson-Romkey. I try to make sure my name is the longest. I'm like, oh my gosh, who would have thought that that's such a thing? About me. Okay. So I've been married for 27 years. We have a 21-year-old son, and My background was in healthcare. I was a registered massage therapist for, I don't know, about a decade or so. And honestly, it's one of those careers where you start to give up your health to help other people get theirs back. And there came a point where that just was not a compromise I was willing to make. And I was introduced to an online business that in the beginning I thought was absolutely like talk to the hand, not interested. But somewhere along the way, a spark in a friend's eye woke me up to, there has got to be more to life than this. And I loved massage. I loved what I could do, but I did not see a 30-year career in that, or I would have been dead, or wished I were. I now, even now, struggle with arthritis in my hands and my low back and things like that. And just, from doing massage for so long, especially when I was pregnant, I'm so grateful that I got over myself and I decided to start that online business, replaced my income, and actually had quite a bit of success in the business. And beyond financial success, had a lot of team building success, like business coaching, the self-development piece of it. I didn't realize how hungry I was for that. And in the last, really the last couple of years, and definitely through COVID, I have been feeling a tug to bring what I've learned and applied in that small piece of my life, in a sense, right? It seemed big at the time, but now it's like, no, I want to bring what I know to a greater population kind of thing. And so, be it through Reiki or meditation, breath work, trauma work, happiness work. I mean, I've got a couple certificates I've been plugging away at getting more and more trainings to be able to bring more and more tools to my toolbox so that I can share them with other people. And I am really excited about what we're talking about doing is offering mentorship, really, right? Opportunities to work with individuals in different capacities, right? Because Cindy brings certain skill sets, like art, for instance. I enjoy learning art from her and I enjoy doing it as much as I have a little bit of stuff here in front of me. But I wouldn't be the art teacher. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of the fun thing. And like self-development and business coaching and stuff is where I have a fair amount of skill sets and stuff that I can offer to help people sort of navigate their life. Because I really believe you can do all of this on your own. Anybody who says you can't is crazy. But you can do all of this self-development or personal development, professional development. You can do spiritual development. You can do all of it on your own, but how painful do you want it to be? Because it's still going to be challenging and stuff like that. But learning how to navigate it, when you think about Cindy, for instance, let me just ask you a question. When we've talked and you've been really stuck on something and all of a sudden, right? Like I'll ask a question, a little clarifying question, and all of a sudden it's like clicks. It helps. It speeds it up. It's less painful because you don't have to stay there as long. And you don't have to change your mind. You can chew on it for as long as you need to until, right? And maybe my answer isn't your answer, but it shows you that there's more ideas. So it sets you looking for, your answers. Because at the end of the day,
it's nice to have a community like that to draw from.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like me. What else did I want to say about me? I don't know. My gosh. Yeah, I've got a fair amount of courses.
Yeah.
Out of my background.
We have
go ahead.
We have a problem with that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what's the problem. I'm hungry. I am hungry. When I say I am a serious student of life, I'm a serious student of my life. And I'm also a student just like observing and watching other people. Psychology has been something I've been fascinated about since I was a kid. I was more interested on a level of acquiring the information, but not applying it. Didn't even really, I guess I was too young to really think about fully applying all that I knew. I have done so much of my healing work. It's not even funny. Oh my gosh, we'll bring that out in some conversations, but that has made all the difference because I really think when you come from a place of a good foundation, right, that you can't give what you don't have. So because I've done my work, Cindy's doing, you've been doing a lot of your work, right? It ends up, and I know I've got more healing to do. So by no means, I might just be one step ahead of somebody, but that's all you ever need to be is one step ahead, right? To take somebody's hand and to, be that safe place where they can move forward in their life. So having someone to partner with really softens the journey and helps to remind you sometimes, just somebody holding the light of like, why is this worth it? Right? Because I mean, there's been some times where I've been in a funky patch for a while, and you know, it takes a bit to get through it, but there's nothing quite like somebody reminding you why it's worth it. Because when you get to the other side, it's beautiful. It really is. And there's nothing you can't get really to the other side of. So that's all there is to that. So yeah,
That's all I have
I
to
could
say
go,
about that
I
one.
could go on and on, but I won't bore you guys with like, you know, all that. But I said more and more will come out as we talk. So
Yes,
we're gonna
I was
keep
just going to say
recording.
that too.
Mm.
More and more, because we do, between the two of us, we do have a lot of courses, Jennifer.
Yeah.
You know, so really,
because you
like,
need different
we have a
ways to
lot to
come at
offer.
it. You need different ways to approach the same situation, because not like I always said in business coaching, right? No cookie cutter. One
Yeah.
approach doesn't work for everybody. One shoe doesn't fit everybody. So like, this is something where, you know, just acquiring additional tools is not necessarily because you need to have all these tools, but from a mentoring standpoint, it really does help that you've got a lot of different possible entry points to the same topic, so that you can hopefully get
Yes.
to the other side.
And I always found it very interesting too, that some of your tools will work with people if you're trying to help people differently.
Yes, of
You know,
course.
they'll take something from a tool that you've given them that you thought they would just like, that's going to be the light bulb that goes off, and it's not.
Yeah,
But
right.
another one will be. Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell
find-
you what I love about that is it teaches us humility too, right?
Yes.
Because I think that sometimes can't we do that just even as friends? And this is why I say this is better than just a friend group, right? Because you could go to a friend, but they may not have what you need. They may not have done the work in that area of their life. And so they possibly just validate where you're at. And then you stay stuck in that, you know, and, you know, it's sort of a cycle where it just doesn't get better, right? So we want something different in our life. We got to try something different. So sometimes having
You want a little push.
community with people that maybe think a little different, you know, sometimes a little being provoked can be really good. I know for myself, sometimes I can be a pain in the ass. I'll just say it. I can be a pain in the ass as a mirror, because I am an empath, an intuitive empath, and I can hold the mirror up for people sometimes. And I know we don't all like what we see sometimes. Hey, people are mirrors for me. Life is a mirror for me. And sometimes I don't like what I see, but until I see the truth and I become aware of the truth, then I can't really change what really needs to change, so I could get rid of whatever it is I didn't want in my life, right? Like, and not necessarily get rid of, but embrace it. Maybe like whatever it is you need to do to get to a place where there's not the resistance and the discomfort and the suffering that goes along with, you know, whatever. Because man, we can suffer on just a thought. Like,
yes,
we can spend a lifetime pining on a thought to the
and
grave.
it is just a thought.
Everything's just a thought. So we'll talk about thoughts, because we're gonna do some mentoring and offer some things over the time. But I guess we want to put this out to you guys. You know, how do you feel about doing mentoring? You know, the idea of having a mentor at a super, I know what I was saying to Cindy, we were talking about this the other day, something ridiculous for a cost, because, you know, obviously it's one of those things where I think that there has to be some skin in the game, personally speaking. I know for myself, I have consumed a tremendous amount of free content, and I've got a lot from it. I suspect people in this group have probably or are consuming free content, like being part of this group, right? You're seeing, you know, good things or commenting and community and that kind of thing. But I think there has to be some skin in the game when you finally decide that you want to do something different, right? You want
That's
to
a little bit of
grow,
accountability.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I said to Cindy the other day is like the mentoring for a month would be like $8 a month. That's like a cup of coffee a week. And that's only if there's 4 weeks in a month. So some have more weeks, it doesn't matter. But I don't know, you know, if that interests anybody, if it's something that, you know, what do people think about doing this through the summer months or fall? And I said, we're going to offer what we're going to offer. And if anybody's interested, then fantastic.
Jump on, jump off.
Exactly. This
Yeah.
like, because I believe people have their own life, right? So the way we want to do these things is that, there'll be recordings and whatnot where people can check it out on their own time. Things will still move along. So if there was like, I don't know if I want to call it homework or play work, or whatever, but at the end of the day, right, the practice that we need to do for gaining awareness in whatever area we're working on. If somebody falls behind in that's totally okay, right? No judgment. But that's our results that we get sometimes based on our effort, and we only get out of something what we are willing to put into it. So if everybody's okay with that, then we're okay to play. I think this will be a lot of fun, and I'm excited about topics like we're going to talk about developing and deepening your intuition, how we can sort of calm the chatter in our minds, like how we can, sort of transform our relationship with our thoughts. We're going to do some art stuff. Cindy, you can speak better than me.
Yes, because I have a lot of art therapy things that I could add.
Fun processes.
Yes, and like different ones, like something that would probably, if you don't resonate with one of them, you'll resonate with another.
Exactly.
You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to.
That's the best part. This is not about that at all.
No, and you don't have to have all the like, I have a lot of stuff. You don't have to have all the art tools, everything. You don't.
I have a couple things.
Yeah. I'm hoping that maybe we'll do vision boards.
Yeah.
Because
well, something too, something that I wanted to just mention too, that, there's self-development through art, right? There's a lot of processes and things that you can bring to the table, which is awesome, because more tools for, if people love art, that can be an exploration of yourself through your art, but also play.
Yes.
Right? Sometimes just, what, I want to learn how to paint, like the creative sides, like maybe we could even do in person, like paint nights, or we could do them online, or we could do, there's lots of things that we can do, but I mean, it doesn't matter if whether or not you want to grow or you want to have fun. That is so powerful as well, right? I mean, we need to play more. Life gets serious. Just saying, right? And
yeah,
I know I need to play more.
We're hoping that because we have a lot of things to bring to the table that something will resonate. I mean, not everybody's going to enjoy the art thing.
Yeah.
But
for those that do, we want to offer it. And
yeah.
I know that we have other people that qualify as mentors in different areas within our group right now. So I want to put that out as well, that if you have special skills, talents, passions, whatever that you can bring to the table that would add value to our community, we would look at partnering. And because I think that as a community, that we can bring so much to each other. We can be women supporting women. And I'm not opposed to men working in that realm as well, right? I mean, we've got some men in the group, and if men bring something, fantastic, right? It's not the battle of the sexes. I think we can really come together and learn so much, even through the ideas of masculine, sacred masculinity and femininity, right? I mean, we bring so much to the table, and there's different ways to learn and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm excited about this. What's your thoughts, Cindy?
I am too. What's my thought?
At least it's not just me.
My thought right now is like, oh my gosh, I've been drinking that bottle of water the whole time, but I am so dry. I can't not, or I won't be able to talk.
We're being called to go outdoors.
Yeah. I'm excited about sharing our experiences and sharing our tools, and just having conversations.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that people will get involved by like comments.
Yeah.
And
I gotta say, I want to thank everybody for participating, like in our group, right? In our Tune Into You group. I so value everyone that engages with our posts, whether you're hitting a like, a love, or whatever, a care, maybe you hate it. It's all good. We're open to it all, right? We're not limited to just certain emotions. I think you got to feel all your feelings. So not everything will resonate with everybody, and that is okay. We're up for healthy
yes.
and kind debate. We're not up for, I'm not into massive negativity or anything, but there's a time and place for things that feel negative, right? But we certainly are open to all types of feedback. But I love the comments, and I love when people share their personal stories and engage that way, where they're really sharing. When I think about, we are our strongest when we are vulnerable. When we put ourselves out there, that story that you share might be the story that wakes someone else up, right? That we plant a seed in somebody else's mind, that they see themselves through your story. And maybe it would only be your story that woke them up. So I can't even say that enough of engaging and being willing to put yourself out there. Because again, you're only going to get out of this group, this life, in a relationship, you only get out of it what you put in. So the more you show up and put yourself in there,
Yes.
right, the more you're going to start receiving from it as well.
And if someone, like, we welcome questions too.
Yes,
we can't answer everything, but we'll certainly look for the information, and we'll talk about it, and you know, we'll guide people. That's
we've got tons of resources, and sometimes even knowing how to navigate systems, right? Some people are looking for different supports.
yes.
Beyond what we have, we certainly have the capacity to help sort of people navigate different systems so that they can get the help that they need, whether we're talking mental health stuff or health, or anything, right? I mean, all things to do with well-being, because there's a lot of parts of us when you think about physically, mentally,
Yes.
emotionally, and spiritually. There's a lot of aspects to come together for whole sort of wholehearted well-being. So anyway, I think that's probably pretty good. Cindy, what do you think? Shall we sign off for now?
Sure.
Yay! So thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Please post in the comments. Share what you think. Share, if you're looking for potential mentorship or something in a particular area, or an area that you'd like to grow in, giving us maybe ideas of what you'd like to see. Anything and everything. We're totally open, and we are here to serve. So anyway, hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll see you again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.